Yeah, against this right back, Charlie's definitely.
Because he always used that active red flag defending. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, bro. Come on.
Hey, people, deluded, I'm back again. Clearly, Babs got the same memo as me. This is purely coincidental. Bloody hell, mate. Flipping hell, matching and that. How you doing, my guy?
Yeah, what are you saying, bro? You good?
Damn, man, you know, allegedly, I don't check the league table, so I don't know, but apparently we're top of the league. Obviously, the Premier League's taking a back burner, so, you know, in December, we'll keep working hard. Obviously, you know, I've got a couple of things I'm going to ask you, and I know we're pressed for time, but first thing, with it all kind of being said and done, first half of the season, what's your thoughts? Because December, while there's a lot of football to go, rightly so, we sit top. We've been riding high since pre-season. It feels like a dream that's never going to stop, bro.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm gassed. I think we're all gassed right now. To see that we're still top of the league during the World Cup, that's the one thing that's going to remain the same. And I think what fans are like, they're looking forward to the January window now, seeing what we can do there. And if we can sign the right players, then maybe we're allowed to dream.
Like you said, dream. Who would you give player of the season so far?
It's a hard one. There's been quite a few players.
Been a lot,
Jesus, Jesus has been so good. Saka's been fantastic as well. Do you know what? I think for the impact alone, I'll give it Jesus, just for the impact he's had in the team. Even though he's missed so many chances, I think because he's just made the team so much better and transformed us from 5th place to title contenders. I mean, I think Jesus is the one.
I mean, that's a techie one. I'm like you. I think despite his lack of goals, obviously we want him to score more goals and be more prolific, but, you know, he fits the system, infectious mentality, you know, big character already, you know, cut somewhat the big homie to the younger players. So I'd go with him as well. Do you know what? I'll give it Saliba, you know. I know it's a bit of a cheat code and whatnot, but I think he's kind of, you know, built on the experience. And I think he's just been a breath of fresh air. But then again, I might have to say Martinelli, you know, because Smith Rowe being injured, the gauntlet was thrown down to him on the left-hand side. It's yours to lose. He's taking it and he's got himself into the England squad. But then again, do you say Saka? I'm going to go with Saliba because I think it's easier to go with the attacking players because naturally they're what, you know, get bums on seats in the stadium and things like that. What have you made of Edu becoming sporting director now? Now, apparently the roles don't change too much, but the title has gone from technical director to sporting director. Where are you at with that?
I don't really mind. I know that some fans, they're still not convinced. I can agree to an extent, but to be fair, they're not going to sack him. And with how far Arsenal have come under his regime, I think they're obviously going to try. They can't give him a contract extension because he's a permanent employee, so they had to just kind of up him somehow to show how important he is. And it doesn't change much. I think all he gets now is extra responsibilities over the academy. I think that's about it. So I think it's just Arsenal just showing, listen, we think you're important. And I think I've seen other, like, I think Fabrizio Romano is saying that other clubs are looking at him. So it kind of makes sense to kind of just show him, like, a cool, stay here, this is the club for you. But listen, I think he still has a little work to do just to convince every Arsenal fan as much as Arteta has done.
What do you think it tells to potential new targets? Because obviously managers, technical directors, players, they can always leave at any given moment. But for me personally, like you said, he's a permanent employee, so it's a bit technical, but he's become sporting director. In the summer, Mykhailo signed a new deal. Obviously, hopefully, God willing, Saka, Martinelli, Saliba all commit new deals. For me, it tells me that, you know, this is a place you can be. This is a place where we're betting on people for the long term. I'm sure you've done your own research and seen when it comes to the Cronkies across all their sporting sort of sectors, when they find a young sort of coach, they kind of bet on him and they let him grow and things like that. So for me, it tells potential new targets that, you know, there's stability at the club, which hasn't always been the case, you know, definitely in the last 5 years, even though it's changing now.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think Edu is the consistent. When you sign a player, it goes through Edu. So the likes of Jesus and Zinchenko spoke to Arteta, but Edu is the guy kind of keeping them happy kind of thing. So, yeah, I think it's good for the strategy, man. I think Arsenal know what the players they want to sign. They've got like a long-term plan, and I think Edu and Arteta work so much towards that. It makes sense to have them both there. I'm not going to say they're our new version of David Dean and Arsene Wenger, but they kind of are in that sense of, they kind of are in a sense of what they do. They work in cohesion. One's in charge of transfers, getting the deals done. Others in charge of getting the team sorted. So that's the long-term goal, is to have that sort of legacy. Listen, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
I mean, you said it there, man. They got a long way to go for me before they're in David Dean and Wenger's sort of category. But it definitely, since post Wenger or post David Dean or during the Emirates era, this is the most sort of long-termism I've even seen. Speaking on transfers, though, where do we start? What have you made of this Mudryk rumours? Because obviously I've been watching your videos. I'm pretty sure you're bored of talking about this guy. At this point, this guy needs a medical or whatnot. Where are you at with this? Because every article, everyone, we're getting him, we're not. He's doing his best to twerk for a move to Arsenal, even getting interviewed by Zinchenko's wife and that. Where are you at with Mudryk?
I like him. I'm still a bit confused why he's our main target. I like him as a player, but I think he's a left winger. He's right-footed. And I think if we're going to sign a wide forward, surely it should be a Saka replacement or a backup for Saka, not really a left winger that can play for Martinelli's position. Maybe Arteta can convert him into a right winger or something. But I'm not quite sure why he's the main target so much, according to so many reports at least. But I think I can see what he has in the sense of, if he was a left winger, I think he's got super potential. But on the right-hand side, unless Mykhailo wants to have that type of I don't know, right-footed right winger approach, which he hasn't done so far, we'll see. But I think you've seen Reece Nelson play on that side as well, so maybe it is something he wants. I like him a lot, as in sense of he's a very good technical player, Mudryk, and on the counter-attack he's amazing. But we've seen it with Pepe, that players that thrive in transition don't really thrive at Arsenal, which is a club trying to play against teams that play in deep blocks. So I've got a few concerns. The price tag's definitely one. I think 50-60 million pounds.
Every episode that we see of this guy, it goes up at least a 5 million or something. You're right in that.
I think it's one that the player wants more than the clubs want right now. I think Arsenal like him. They definitely have approached him, but I just don't see him as a main target. I know people keep saying that, but I just don't think he is. It makes no sense. Unless, of course, Arteta has a bigger plan, which he might do. But yeah, I think it'd be a good signing. It'd obviously help us out quite a lot. And look, maybe it's one for the future where you sign him now and in 3-4 years' time, you look back and go, wow, okay, thank God we signed him now. Because if he goes somewhere else, these type of players, they can go to, if not Arsenal, they'll go to like a Roma or they'll go to like a Ajax or a club like that where they'll thrive there. Yeah, they'll go somewhere like a Dortmund or something. They'll thrive there. And then Arsenal fans will be like, oh, why did we not sign him when we could have? So with the way the market's going now, I think £50 million is a pretty reasonable price tag for a promising player nowadays, at least. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
I mean, I'm like you. I feel overnight, rightly so, everyone likes to get knowledgeable on players, but I just feel overnight everybody's an expert on Mudryk, everybody's an expert on Ukrainian football, everyone's an expert on Shakhtar Donetsk now. Evidently, respectfully to him, he's playing in the Ukrainian league. He's not the finished article by any stretch of the imagination. So like what you kind of said, if Arteta and Edu have been scouting this guy for whatever long and they recognize how they can improve his weaknesses and make him better, I'm all for that. He strikes me as an intelligent footballer. I agree with you, the counter-attacking things, but he seems more intelligent than Pepe and able to play in tight spaces. The key thing for me is if Arteta wants this guy, get it done. But I agree with what you're saying. I think the guy kind of feels from the language he says is that I've kind of outgrown my current environment, whether it's England, Spain, whatever. I need a new situation. Every opportunity there is to talk, whether it's to Ben Jacobs or, Miss Zinchenko, whatever. He's doing all he can to get that move or angle for that move. As you said, I think there is admiration. I do think Arsenal are aware of his talents and have admiration for him. But everybody likes everyone, Putting the money down is a completely different thing. So we'll literally have to see. And for me, I'm kind of in agreement that if it starts going beyond 50 million or something like that, then I'm at this moment in time, I haven't seen enough for all he may or may not have done in the Champions League to kind of sanction that. But then again, when you look at Rafinha, it was a kind of price tag for that. Pedro Neto was a price tag for that. So almost 50 million is the new sort of benchmark. As you know, January is very technical and techie to do business. I more want us to address centre midfield as much as out wide, but I just feel we have, like you mentioned with Nelson, I think not to downplay the impact of wide players and goal scorers, but I think we can kind of not cope without it, but we can kind of somewhat cope with wide areas. I think anything happens to Xhaka or Partey, we're in trouble. If something happens to Partey, you kind of ruin this new Granit Xhaka you've kind of seen and his ability to venture forward. And I think if something happens to Xhaka, you kind of rub Partey. And I'm a big fan of Lokonga. I don't think right now he's the guy. Anything else, I'd throw El Nene into that. So I more want us to address centre mid. What have you made of the Danilo reports? I'm sure you've seen it already today. He's kind of indirectly spoken about now might be the time to move, kind of time to keep it moving. Are you optimistic on being able to convince the young Brazilian to, come to the Emirates and that?
I don't think we have to convince him. I think it's actually a pretty likely deal to happen, considering the fact that Arsenal made what was it, £25 million offer in the summer. So if they made an offer then, and after the reports coming today, is that offer would be accepted now. I don't see why Arsenal wouldn't go in again, because he's clearly a player that Arsenal wanted for a long time. I know reports back in Jan 2021 that they want to sign him. So with that being the case, the fact that Edu has the Brazil connections as well, and the fact that Arteta clearly likes the profile, I think he's a bit of a 2 and more midfielder. I've not watched him play live too often. I think I saw him in the Club World Cup and stuff, but he's more of a 6 and 8, right? He's not really an out and out number 6 or an out and out number 8. He kind of just is a hybrid. He's like Lokonga in a sense. Yeah, he's like a Sambi Lokonga. And I think, it's still a massive ask to go from Brazil to Arsenal, and then if you're fighting for a title, to jump straight into that team. Partey's a player. Even Partey struggled. Yeah, even Partey struggled as a number 6 at the start. So, to go and sign Danilo, he might be the player, obviously, but he comes in and he comes from Brazil to the Premier League. It's a massive ask, massive step up.
Teething problems initially.
Yeah. So the price tag I'm for, I think it's a decent value for money. It could be a decent value for money signing. I'm not sure if he's ready to go straight into a title competing team, which is what Arsenal want. Arsenal fans want to see this team compete for the title. You sign him tomorrow, he comes in, and is he going to adapt straight away? Probably not.
You'd have to give him that scope to grow. But as you know, in football, there's really no such thing as time. Fans cry about time, but they fail to understand it, especially when you've got, this glittered side with young players. I feel if you want them to wake up tomorrow, the Sakas, Martinelli, Salibas, and be world-class players, then they have to go through them teething problems. As much as I like how Saliba is bossing it, he's going to make mistakes again and again and again. The same goes for Gabriel, Martinelli, and Saka. You have to go through them teething problems. And like you said, he's no different. I think he's slightly ahead of Danilo, but I wholeheartedly agree with you, is that you're asking a lot for him to leave from Brazil, join us in January, get up to speed with what Mykhailo Arteta demands of him individually, then collectively, adapt on and off the field. And obviously, if we're challenging for this league title or solidifying fourth, we kind of need 3 points. That's kind of why I want another midfielder in as well as him, because I like El Nene. Respectfully to El Nene, what you see is what you get. Anything that happens to our current options, Lokonga should always play ahead of him because he's going to be here long term, but he shouldn't in that. What you're going to get with El Nene in the quest for third. Look, El Nene over 5 to 10 games is going to give you a higher level of consistency at this moment than Lokonga ever could, really and truly. Have you seen reports of Sané?
I've seen reports. I think they're not too reliable. No, I don't. It's worth talking about, but I don't think it's worth reading into too much, because I think he's had a good start to the season. I think he had 10 goals and 6 assists or something like that. So he's improved. And I still think I think he's got 2 years or 3 years left on his contract in the summer. He's one of those players where, obviously, I'd take him at Arsenal. Of course I would. He's Leroy Sané. But I just think if Arsenal are going to sign a wide forward, it'll be a younger profile. Sané turns 27 in this year. So with that being the case, I think I've heard Fabrizio say in the past that he's an option. So there's clearly some sort of talks that happened there. I just don't think he's a realistic signing at this moment, because he'd cost 60-70 million pounds, and he's not worth that.
Factoring his wages as well.
Yeah, he's not worth that. And Arsenal are a team that they always go for profiles over big names. And Sané, he suits the profile and has a big name. But I think for value for money, you could sign I mean, look, to be fair, if they're spending 50 on Mudryk, then you might as well go for Sané. But yeah, I think it's something that might happen, but I think that's more of a summer transfer, if anything.
Last question, because obviously we're pressed for time. In fact, double-edged question. What does the return of Smith Rowe mean for you? And where do you think we finished? I'm asking a lot in November, but where do you think we finished? Yeah. And obviously Smith Rowe.
Smith Rowe, I was actually thinking to myself, where does he play? Left wing, centre midfield, number 8. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard because his best form for Arsenal came in the 4-2-3-1. Playing a 4-2-3-1, him as a left midfielder. Now he's playing as a left winger. It's a different game now. He can play the role, of course, he can do. And I think it kind of suits him. But is he as comfortable drifting centrally like Martinelli is in terms of centre forward? I'm not quite sure.
I mean, you're forgetting what Smith Rowe was on, bro.
I think it's possible. But I think it's a bigger ask. Playing as in terms of the half space is different to coming into the centre forward role, and that's what Martinelli can do with Jesus. It's very specific profiles. But then as a number 10, we're not playing a number 10 anymore. I think to play alongside Odegaard, I think because Partey's become more of a number 6, he understands that role more. I think it's possible for Smith Rowe to play as a number 8 now, and not have to worry too much because you've got the inverted fullbacks of Ben White, and Zinchenko or Tierney. So I think look, he'll have an impact, especially off the bench. I think he
And
won't
we need
start
that
too many
super
games
sub
straight away.
sometimes, man.
But the super, exactly. We saw it last season. He cashed in off the bench against West Ham, against Norwich as well. He scored goals off the bench. He can do that. So if that's the case, I think if you're competing for the title, if that's how far we're going, it's a useful profile to have. And I think more next season, when he's had a full pre-season and been fully fit, he'll break into the team. He's too good not to start for Arsenal. And I think Arsenal fans forget how good he was for Arsenal. I mean, was it 10 plus league goals, non-penalty goals in his first ever full season at Arsenal? It's crazy stats. Underrated as ever, and I think when he comes back, he will really definitely get Arsenal fans back.
Good problems, man. Good problems for once. Good problems for Mykhailo Mudryk. Like you said, 8, 10, inverted sort of role. I think he can mix it up, and I do think that's the next stage of our development. Obviously, we need some more like for like changes. If Xhaka's not there, who's doing that role? If Partey is not there, who's doing that? But we need different ingredients, kind of like Fabio Vieira came off the bench against Fulham and him and Odegaard did the thing. I think we need that sort of thing. You mentioned title challenge. How wholeheartedly are you convinced in our title challenge then to end this? Like, if there is a title challenge, because for me, I'm happy for it. You know, no one will be happier than me to see a title, but I just can't stop thinking about. Let's just confirm top 4 mathematically. Keep doing what we're doing. Then, if there's a question to have, it is what it is. But I'm of the belief that you need to run, you need to crawl before you can run. But if you offered me this, if you said where we're gonna, if we and you spoke in August and you said Arsenal would be top, us and Newcastle would have one loss each, well 2 losses between us, I'd look at you like, mate, you need to go hospital and get your head checked out. I don't know what you're talking about. So I would take it, of course, man. How convinced are you in the sustained title press challenge? And is there any question marks? Was there any sort of way this could go left?
We'll be there. We'll compete. We won't win.
When you say compete, I have to move like a journalist now. When you say compete, what does that mean?
Compete as we will be second. We'll be second. It won't be a massive gap, depending on injuries, of course. We'll be there and thereabouts. I think the first team has the quality to go quite a distance, and I think the point target for Arsenal should be from 69 last year. 85 would be a massive leap, and I think that's kind of where we'll be. I think 85 is, and I think that will be close enough. It won't be too far off. It will be a distance Arsenal can close down. We'll compete. We won't win it, but we'll comfortably get top 4. And I think at the start of the season, Arsenal fans would have taken that. And now, just because of how great we've started, I think fans have forgotten that original goal was top 4. And then, of course, you have to be ambitious. And I think Arsenal have to show that in January. But listen, if we sign some right players in January, I think even if we sign the players in January, it's still going to be a tough ask to beat Man City for a title with the players they have. But then again, going to the World Cup, their players are going to start more games than Arsenal players are. Jesus will probably be rested because Richarlison's going to start. Same with Martinelli as well. Gabriel's at home. Ben White's not starting either. A lot of our key personnel will actually not start that many games, which I think is important
might not even be starting today, according to reports.
Exactly.
You never
And
know.
I think Thomas Partey and Xhaka are the only ones that I can see starting, and I think Partey's team won't get too far in the tournament either, with all due respect to the Ghanaians. I think
Xhaka and Tomiyasu the same as well.
It's possible. It's possible. We're here to. If fans aren't here to believe, then there's no point of being a fan. But we're also realistic. We've been through a lot of pain over the years, so let's take it. We move in silence. We'll take it step by step.
I like that, man. Move in silent, take it step by step. You know, for the fans, we can dream. That's one thing I love about Mykhailo Mudryk and the players. They are dreaming, but he's always keeping their feet on the ground. I really like how Arteta is of the thinking of, like how we beat Chelsea on the Sunday. Enjoy it today. Monday, we haven't achieved a damn thing. So let's keep going, man. And, you know, obviously we want to dream and one day do what City are doing, so let's just keep moving. And it's nice for me to see that the talking is now matching up with physically what we're doing across all aspects, man. But I've let them know where they can find you. I can't imagine they don't know how to find you. You know, over 100k subs and all of that inspired my thumbnails and whatnot. Let them know where they can find you, and if you've got any content to come.
Thank you, man. Yes, it's BHAVS 14 across all platforms. But I wouldn't suggest Twitter just yet, unless you want shameless tweets. There's just different personalities on Twitter to me. Why I'm here, so I mean, it's just different people. But
if you
want to see trolling on Twitter, that's the place to go to. If you want to see actual sensible content,
rival fans, man.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, thank you very much for having me on again, man. I always appreciate it. And listen, subscribe here first, then go to BHAVS.
I do up them both, people. Open up both tabs. If you're listening to this, that means the video is live. BHAVS' name is in the thing, so just hit it. It's simple as that, man. But yeah, Bav, one love for that, man. I gotta go do this watch along, so I'm gonna let you go, man. On that, one love, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on your notifications, subscribe to Bav, and yeah, man, keep praying for Arsenal. That, you know, we're still having these conversations when we do our next videos and things like that, or when we get to May, man. But everybody, stay blessed, stay safe. We're out, man.
He's always just that active and defending. I've been given like